the world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive. We're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system.
Welcome to the Red Pill Sports and Entertainment Show. I am your host, Albert Apache, and as usual, brought to you by Open Source, Self-Defense, Fitness, and Grappling. Okay, everybody, here is the fourth and final installment of the Keith Kirkorian run to Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, the Featherweights Championship. Sorry it's taken so long for this fourth installment, been a bit busy. All that being said, also forgive me for any background noise you may hear, dogs barking, things of that nature. It's a beautiful day out here in the Valley of the Sun, so I am trying to enjoy the day. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown. So, early on, Holly was going to go ahead and be the initiator by pulling guard and going into the legs of Keith. So early on, here we go. Holly pulls guard and starts to attack the legs. Now, this went on for at least the first half of the match. We'll kind of take a look at it where there was an leg exchanges back and forth with Holly primarily being the aggressor. Through the first half of the fight, I really thought that Holly was going to catch Keith in a submission with the leg, some type of heel hook. One of the things I enjoyed about this particular match was both opponents were very willing to strike and use the striking as a way to distract and to cause the other opponent to have to guard their face in order to, strip away grips that were made. So I found that very, very interesting, and it was a great part of this particular match. Here they are once again going back and forth with the leg exchanges. Holly does not look very interested at all at really passing the guard. Seems to be using passing positions just to kind of get his legs tangled up in a way that he wants. And then you'll watch here as Keith tries to come to the back. Holly does a really good job of sending his hips back, and then he's going after a leg here. And this, just like I said, it went on for about the first half of the match. We get a quick reset at about the 7.5 minute mark, and immediately again, Holly pulls that guard, and he starts to try to invert underneath Keith. Throughout this fight, it looked like he wanted to use kind of a K-guard type of strategy in order to get into those legs, and he was very, very efficient with what he was doing. Even here, as we see Keith really trying to pass the guard here by going to a north-south position, Holly does a great job of keeping his knees close to his chest and pummeling in his leg. Boom, there you saw it right there, how he pulled out that leg of Keith. Right here, let's watch that again. Pummels through, grabs hold of the leg, extends the hips, boom, pops that leg right out. So this was going on throughout the whole first half of the fight. And like I said, I really felt Holly was getting the better part of the exchanges and thought that Holly was going to catch a submission sooner or later. Here was one of the instances that I thought that Keith had a pretty decent bite on Holly's leg, and you're going to see that Holly's reaction kind of confirms that. You see he starts smacking, just going to town, trying to get his foot free, trying to open up something to try and get his foot out of there. Just enough space, and you can see he starts to peel it in, rolls, gets that foot free, and now again you see Holly. He decides he's going to invert. He's going to play the guard and try and go after the legs. So you saw this going on. I think this is about the time that Keith decided that he was no longer going to play a leg exchange game, and he decided he was going to pass. So you see him making a much more solid effort on trying to pass. He's not just getting to a place where he can fall back into the legs. He's legitimately trying to pass Holly's legs here. They get towards the edge of the mat here, and he's still trying to pass. Holly doing a fantastic job. This is what I love. Holly striking from bottom as well. You saw this over and over. This time, Keith, again, he fell back onto a leg. This is where it changed. Here, they get the break. When they come back to the break, you're going to see that the ref allows Keith to lock his hands behind Holly with double underhooks, getting that body lock pass positioning. There it is. And from this point forward, it seems as though Keith has made a decision that he is going to pass the guard and work from more of a mount type of position, right? Be a little more pressuring. Holly does a great job framing here, pushing away. He's going to get that underhook, but he kind of gets lulled to sleep here. Watch as we paused it here, but watch as Keith just kind of hangs out and just keeps nice pressure. And you're going to kind of see Holly kind of relax for a second, and then you're going to see Keith sneak that right leg out and go right to mount. Feels like he can't move him. Good pressure from Keith. Good pressure from Keith. He kind of relaxes. Boom. There is the pass. Now you see the isolation. He's trying to isolate an arm. And Holly does the right thing. He brings his arm in there, and he's trying to get away. Try to shoot up that triangle. Try to shoot up that triangle right here. Well, let's watch Keith again. He tries to shoot up this triangle. Gets it. But Holly with a fantastic job of getting his knees to his chest and going after that leg again. We're back to a position with Keith trying to pass, and now he's going north-south. And looks how much more he's sold out on passing and separating those knees this time. Kind of pushes the knees to the side, kind of baited Holly into really pressing. He had gathered that data on what Holly liked to do, right, when he was here at the north-south position. Now watch what he does here. He lets one foot pass by his hip so that both feet are one side of his hip, and he reaches around to the other side of the hip. Boom, smashes the knees, comes across. Beautiful pass to side control and then back into mount here. So you can see that Keith, at some point in time, right around the mid part of the fight, decided that this back and forth leg exchange was no longer the type of game he wanted to play. And he stopped going to it, and he decided he was going to go to more what I would call classic jiu-jitsu attack, a more traditional jiu-jitsu attack. What we see a lot in, for instance, the gi. It's continuing to attack after Holly had regained. Now here we see it. Holly is going to regain guard here. He's going to look for the leg. See it get his knees in. At first, Keith tends to go after the leg, but watch what he does. He abandons it. He starts to make the angle, getting his knee out. Watch how he very, very slyly gets his knee out here. His knee is already at the thighs of Holly. Even though Holly has a nice bite with his grips with his arms, the reality is that he cannot control the hips of Keith from this position anymore. Keith's knee is almost completely out from between his thighs. Makes a good angle, and now we're just going to watch him climb to the back of Holly. From here, Keith is going to ride out the rest of the 2 minutes, attacking Holly relentlessly. I really would like to hear Keith break this match down for us, because as you'll see in the overtime, he gets a submission in about 30 seconds in his overtime victory. That being said, you saw Holly do a fantastic job through this 2 minutes of defending his neck. I mean, the few times, like right there, I mean, the forearm was deep, really deep, and somehow Holly was able to survive and escape or I should say survived the choke. He wasn't actually able to escape the back mount. But this was fantastic technical defense and offense by both guys. It was beautiful. Using the strikes, again, really, really important. Now, when we get to the overtime, I'm going to kind of skip to the overtime here. Now, as we restart here at the overtime, you have to be very, very aware of what's going on. I'll do my best to try to pause and stop the video at where you can see a little bit of what's going on, but the camera work was a little subpar, so we don't actually see the front part of the choke to see the hand positioning and what happened in order for Keith to actually sink the choke 100%. So Keith won the toss. First overtime, he takes the back of Holly. Ref starts the fight. And here we go. So he's going after the back. He's sunk it in. Almost there. Stripping, keeping that right arm from defending. At some point in time, he's getting his, there he goes. He gets his left arm. Keith gets his left arm across. It's sunk in. Here comes a tap. Boom. So let's go back just a tiny bit. Right here is where we see, we're not going to actually see the sinking in of the arm. We're just going to see the tap from this position. So let's see if I can get it. It was right here. This is where we see the arm come across the face of Holly. So at this moment, the way that he brought his arm across, Keith must have been able to get that radial bone under the chin of Holly, or he was able to get the choke tight enough to where he could use, even with the chin in of Holly, he could use the leverage to choke the artery still. That's about where we see it there. Tight, wrapped up, boom, and the tap. That's what gave Keith the win, the victory to be the featherweight combat jiu-jitsu champ. Now, all that being said, throughout the 4-part series, we saw Keith change modes. In this particular fight, we saw that as well, but we saw it in an even more distinct way. We saw not only did he use the transition of offense to defense, but he also used the transition of attacking the bottom half of the body, i.e. the legs, to attacking the top half of the body, i.e. triangles, arm triangles, getting to the back, rear naked choke. I really feel that too many people have fallen in love with the leg game in jiu-jitsu, and there is still tons of things we can do with the upper body. And to be quite honest, it seems like the more well-rounded jiu-jitsu guys are starting to bubble to the top, as far as you need to have a top game, you need to have a bottom game, you need to have lower body submissions, you have to have upper body submissions. It's just the way it is, guys. And learning these transitions is going to help us be better grapplers, right? Understanding that, hey, if I continue to fall back on this leg, this could not work out for me. But if I can switch my mode, go from falling back to legs to instead I'm going to get to a pass, baiting, learning what my opponent's doing, understanding in real time what my opponent likes to do, and baiting them into a movement so that I can transition into my trap. This is how we become better grapplers, guys. All right. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I try to interact with every single comment, whether you agree, you disagree, or you possibly saw something that I didn't. If you have a request, let me know. I'll do my best to get to whatever fight, grappling match, whatever it is, to take a look at. Again, if I missed anything, please let me know, guys. Remember, the goal is to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark by July 4th, and the liking, subscribing, and sharing of the content does help that, guys. Alrighty. Well, we'll catch you all next time. Remember, till next time, be practical, be purposeful, get fit with a purpose, guys.
From the kids who went to Hooters after school. We're all triggered and defensive, we're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird. People are so stupid.